White balance. Here's a picture, a common picture of, let's say, a windmill, and I got a sky in the backdrop. The sky might have clouds. I don't know because it's a little overexposed over here. This is a little underexposed. So what we're going to do is look at Lightroom for the possibility of getting some more detail in here. And how I'm going to do that is first look at white balance. So I'm going to go to development. And because this is a 16-bit shot, I could choose any of these. I could set daylight if I wanted to. Daylight's going to pick. If I go to cloudy sky, it's going to go for cloudy, and etc. and so forth. Or I can click this. So first I'm going to hit reset because all those, so you can see the history of things. History builds up, and I can look through all my history and say, well, I don't want those on there. I want to hit reset. I want to get back to the original. And this is an amazing tool. What I'm looking for is a percentage of gray, the lightest gray within the picture. And some might say white balance. Okay, now I'm going to select white because it's white balance. That's what it's called. No, that's not right. It's actually gray. And it's actually a percentage of gray, 16% gray. But is that important? Well, what's really nice is over here, if I can make this a little bit bigger for you. I don't know if I can do that with the resolution that I have. But over here, as I go through this, you're going to see this change color. And that's going to be my white balance. Also, up here at the top, you're going to see some numbers fly around. That is the percentage of gray that I have highlighted. So right here, I'm going to say there's some percentage of gray. Oops. So what happens here? Well, I could scale in if I wanted to. And I can reset. So if I scale in by double clicking and then choose a light gray, it's a little easier to do. So that's what I usually do. And now it looks the same, right? Because all I did was white balance it. But the effect in the sky is a different story altogether. That has to do with exposure. Now that it's white balance, you always want to do white balance first and then go through the exposure settings afterwards. Here is my triangle. This triangle states that in this area there is no pixel information. In fact, if you look here, there's no shadow information. So, depending on what you want to fix first, I would say let's fix highlights first. Highlights are easier to fix. Then we can work in shadow. Okay, so here, what I'm going to do is go to recovery and recover the sky. Now I can see that cloud in the background just barely. Also, on my histogram, you can see I pulled it away from the wall by hitting recovery. Here is a histogram, and this histogram states that it is overexposed because it is hitting the wall. This works like a bell curve system. What you want to do is have a bell curve. That's the preferred state. So I'm going to hit recovery. I'm going to get it right there, and then I can work on exposure a little bit. Alright, now, other things that are a problem within the photo is my foreground is really dark. Now, I can go in here and mess around with my fill light and get that back if I wanted to. When you go into things like brightness and contrast, let's play special note to brightness and contrast for a second. Brightness at a 16-bit level, it works, but you don't really want to do it too often because brightness will just kill pixels, and you can see that right there. It's absolutely stomping on the pixels. So brightness is one of those things you want to pay a little attention to as possible. You might want a couple percent, but not much. Same with contrast. Contrast is just the taking of shadows and making them a little bit darker corresponding to brightness. But there is other things down here that we can do to a photo to make it a little bit more clear. So like let's say these leaves, for example. These leaves, boy, I'm going right through this stuff, aren't I? These leaves are a thing called clarity. And if I rank clarity up, I can get some more leaf information. Also, when I rank clarity up, you can see all the details in the clouds are now there. Right there, you can see the clouds a little bit better. If I rank clarity down, clouds go away. And you can see, wow, right there. See this girder? Here it is with clarity at what it was. And here's the clarity now. So kind of take special note. Once you adjust clarity, you can probably go back up here and adjust recovery. And you can also adjust exposure a little bit more. And lo and behold, there's some more clouds. Also, I can put some more fill lights in. So this stuff has a fine line balance of what you're going to change here compared to here. And there is no right or wrong answer. Only the histogram is your friend. Now look at my histogram makes more sense. I got a gap here. I got a gap here. These aren't pressed up against the wall. I still have a little bit of information that's blue. But those are things that, probably can be adjusted via blacks. And some of this stuff should be blue. Vibrance is an amazing tool. See the sky? It is now blue. Be careful with vibrance because everything else can be green. What's vibrance compared to saturation? If you took saturation is just the taking out of colors, and you compared it to clarity, vibrance does both. Okay, now I'm getting some amazing color, and it's probably almost too amazing within clarity. Okay, so now I have to kind of adjust things. Or is it my vibrance that's too high? It is vibrance. Does it look good? Sure. I might want that. I might like it so there's green highlights on things. Remember, we're in the long run, we're going for the print. Am I going to see this in the print? No, because this picture is huge. If you looked at the pixel dimensions of this thing, it is huge. All right. So now that we have the first thing taken care of here, this is the basic tab. What I want to do is now go through the tonal curves and the rest of this stuff via different pictures.